Now I'm conflicted. He's ready to trauma dump, but I just got an 8 on sharp. So I could either help Casey or I could hear the captain's trauma. Welcome back, our lovely listeners, to our anthology on the Jaws RPG. Last time we saw Agent Nick and Agent Casey risking their lives as they tried to survive the horrors that were Captain Quint. No, I'm kidding. I mean Bruce the shark from Jaws. Will they survive? Who knows? Well, maybe we'll find out the answer today.
The shark drags you back under the water, and you will take 2 harm. And
No.
mild bite damage in your left leg.
No, not mild bite damage! You're foul! I know the whole time I'm thinking, I told Quint to fire! Dang it!
He was aiming! Quint was ready! And you hear Quint above the water, Nick! Agent Nick! Casey, you are just on the deck. You're still alive. You're welcome to investigate and see if you can find a medical kit or something like that. But, Agent Nick, you've been pulled back under the water, and this shark is just pissed. He's got your body, and he's just kind of swimming with you, and he rams into the side of the ship.
I'm gonna throw my tank at him. I'm aiming for his nose to bop him on the nose, to dislodge Nick.
Okay. So as Bruce is gonna dive to dislodge the ship, that gives you a brief opening to throw the tank. So roll kick some ass. And Quint is also, I'm gonna actually roll for Quint to see if Quint can do a kick some ass well enough to shoot the tank. What did you get?
That was a 3. I'm gonna blow a luck point because I have them and I'm fading fast, so I might as well use them on something worthwhile. And boop him on the nose with the tank.
And his armor is 2, so he doesn't take any damage from it, but his attention is on you, and he's now out of the water. So you kept him from going under and penetrating a hole in the boat. His attention is on you, and Quint takes the gun, and Agent Nick, you see the gun pointed right at you / the shark.
Take the shot!
He rolled a 10. So, Agent Nick, is there anything that you can or would do to try to make the shark open his mouth as you're next to him?
I mean, that was the point of trying to bop him on the nose.
Okay. That makes sense. Thank you for clarifying that. I wasn't exactly sure of that. So, yeah, his mouth grows open as he's about to launch himself possibly on board. Quint fires, and it does hit the tank.
Okay.
And and you hear this, but it is the baby tank. I want to make sure that's clear. So you hear this
the little Weezer.
the little Weezer. You hear this, and there is definitely an explosion that happens within the shark, but it doesn't kill him.
What?
Nick, you are still hanging on for dear life, but he did take 6 damage from that. That was ridiculous. Because, so the shark is at its harm point where it is unstable. The shark itself is starting to bleed out. You notice that there's blood starting to come out of its gills now. Mm-hmm. And Agent Nick, because if it had been the adult oxygen tank, you would have exploded with it. But because it was a smaller...
That would be my next question. Was okay, how many of us are in the blast radius right now? Because
that was my next question.
It was only you. Casey and Quint are on board.
Oh,
Quint was the one who fired. You are hanging onto the edge of the shark by the tooth. You've been lodged by the shark. With this blast, you're able to be freed.
Yes.
And the blast that the shark takes is much more internal than external. So he doesn't just go poof. But there's something internally that went very, very bad, and he took a lot of harm from it. And the shark is thrashing, and you see that there's blood coming from the shark, and the most horrid, foul fish smells and decaying human smells coming from this shark. As if someone just pinpoked his insides and exploded them all.
Is there like a gas tank within reach? Since we're on a motorized boat?
I would roll investigate a mystery to see, but based on the supply list, there is not. But there are still... Oh, there are oil lanterns, and there's a stove, and marine radio.
A flare gun.
You do have a flare gun, and you have a lot of alcohol on board, too.
Yeah,
Sure, it's not going to be flammable, but like some of that peach brandy would do the trick. I got a 10. I grabbed for the nearest flammable thing in one hand and the flare gun in the other, and I'm aiming for like shark on flambe. Don't mind if I do.
Beautiful, first of all. Beautiful storytelling. So describe to me how you would carry this out. Are you going to throw it at him and then shoot it while you're throwing the bottle at him? Or what are you thinking?
I want to either, like, smash we'll call it a bottle if it's a bottle, or, like, the canister of stove fuel or whatever, in his general direction, and then, like, propping myself against the side of the ship to steady as I am slowly bleeding out, like, on flambe, poof, and go for the shot.
Okay, I love that. I will add on real quick. Agent Nick, is there anything that you want to do to possibly assist with this plan?
No,
I
think he's got this covered. I'm gonna just swim away. That shark's flailing about. I'm not going near that. That's gonna hurt me again.
Yeah, so you're swimming away, Agent Casey. You've got why don't you roll?
Give him the bird as I just like swim away. You know, maybe that's my. I just give it a little bit of psychological damage.
Yeah, of course. You can flip the bird. The shark is too busy reorganizing its guts to really notice. Beautiful. So as your arm is propped with your like last few breaths, you take a wheeze as you feel your lungs filling with blood, and you throw this bottle with all of your might into the water. And this shark, because he's been pursuing all of you, he's getting closer and closer to the boat. Nick has swam out of the shark's eye line, and you manage to land the bottle right in front of him. And he's now being attracted to this chum line that Nick drew earlier, so he's starting to pursue the boat in that manner. And since the bottle landed on the chum line, it landed perfectly. And with your flare of the gun, you how many more harm do you have? By the way.
Oh, I've got 2 left, and it's been like a couple rounds since you said.
Yeah, so you take one more harm as you fire this flare gun.
I figured as much.
The flare gun hits the bottle as the shark approaches it, and you just see this that's created. It's like the shark it starts to incinerate a little bit. You can smell crispy shark meat. The shark is thrashing, totally wigging out. And it's gonna take 4 more harm from this but it is in the water, so very shortly after it dives down into the water away from all of you. But the beeping, you can still hear the radar beeping. Agent Nick, you have swam back to the boat. Are you immediately just pulling yourself back onto the boat?
Yep, I pull myself up onto the boat, and at this point the explosion from my perspective has already happened, right?
Yeah, you heard it. You didn't look back because you're like getting the hell out of there.
And cool guys never look back at explosions.
Cool guys never look back. And what you see is, you now see calm water with some chum floating. And for a minute, you guys think you've done it. There's a sense of a silence until there is a rattling underneath the ship.
Ah, crap.
And you feel something penetrate the right side of the ship. Something that's pissed at you guys. So...
I'm pissed at it.
Quint is now, for the first time, somewhat, like, pouring alcohol over Casey's wounds. Like,
Ow!
Don't worry, this will sterilize them. Let me. The ship may go down. The ship goes down, but let me sterilize those wounds for you, good sir.
I would like to investigate to see if there actually is a real med kit anywhere.
Yeah, go ahead and investigate.
Okay.
I look up at Quentin and say, "You are bad at every part of your job."
I like to blame it on my years of the ocean. My ocean is my lady. I can't let her down.
He's about to trauma dump.
Your lady is a fickle mistress, sir.
I know.
Now I'm conflicted. He's ready to trauma dump, but I just got an 8 on sharp. So I could either help Casey or I could hear the captain's trauma. I bite my hand and go, and I go find the med pack. I'm hoping with an 8, right? That qualifies?
Yeah, so it's a partial success. What you find is one of those like shots of adrenaline and one of those electric, like, you know, to bring back to life a
defibrillator?
A defibrillator. You find 2 very bizarre pieces of medical equipment, but you do find an adrenaline accelerator. If you do give that to Casey, I will give them back a couple of okay points, at least for the temporary.
Okay. I have no clue how any of this works, really, but I'm just gonna go for it, Pulp Fiction style. Take the syringe, hoist it above my head, and I look at Casey like, "Don't worry, this will give you a couple of okay points."
You don't know what you got.
And I jab it straight into the chest.
And Casey, you gain back 2 okay, so you're right on the brink of unstable now, but you're not.
Oh yeah, no, my heart is pounding and I am still bleeding, so now I am bleeding, pounding. That's marvelous.
Yeah, Quint is like, I was gonna save that for later. We gotta stop the wounds. We gotta package the wounds. So you see,
Shark, still,
Quint,
problem.
you see Quint
got
take off his shirt. Quint takes off his shirt. You see this old man skin, like leather, and he wraps part of his shirt around your worst wound, probably in your back where the oxygen tank was. So you see him packing it down, trying to make sure that you're not going to continue bleeding out. He pours a little more Miller Lite over it, like the alcohol should help soak up the blood as he wraps it up.
There's a variety of alcohol on this boat.
God.
It's always a party on my boat.
Oh my gosh.
And
I looked at Casey again. I go, if it's any consolation to you, Casey, it's like a voice was telling me if I gave you this shot, you'd have some okayness to you.
I pull myself up to the edge of the ship and look into the water, looking around. What do I see?
Why don't you investigate a mystery for me, and I will let you know. You guys, in the midst of you guys patching up Casey, you did feel something shake the bottom of the boat.
That is an 11.
An 11, yeah. With an 11, you look over the side of the boat, and you notice that there's a hole that has been created toward the bottom. It's
the
not
ship appears
enormous.
unstable.
Cool, we're sinking.
Yeah, you guys
I have
are,
that sinking feeling.
as you are minorly starting to sink. If you were to go downstairs to that lower level, you'd notice that it is quickly filling with water. Quint doesn't seem to notice a whole lot. Quint actually seems more concerned about making sure Casey's okay in whatever twisted way possible. Casey, Quint is trying to give you, pour more alcohol on you to be like, this will make you feel better. Not making you drink it, just like trying to.
No, I know.
Like,
the ow is for
wounds.
the sting of alcohol on open shark wounds. That's fantastic.
Yeah. But thankfully, also a lot of your damage was bludgeoning early on, so that helps. But you guys are both in your wetsuits on board as you see that there is a hole in the ship, and you notice that the shark comes up right around where you guys are. He pokes his head out, and it looks rough. You see that there are clear burns along his face, there are gashes, and when he opens his mouth at you, it's the most foul smell. It's just the smell of death. Like his insides are falling apart as we speak.
Okay.
And
Bit off more than
I
you
wanted
could
to
chew,
make
didn't
an
you?
action. I
ahead.
want to make a quick action. So you said like as we're sinking, can I make a quick run to the cabin to see if the radio works? I'm assuming there's a radio on the ship.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead and
I want
run
to radio
to the...
someone.
All right.
And I just like grab the radio. I pull up and I go, Mayday, Mayday! This is the Orca. We are sinking. I don't know the correct nautical terms. We are 22 clicks from the shore. We need help.
Question. So now that the shark is as busted up as it is, and its hide is no longer nearly as protective as it was, does that lower its armor rating?
It doesn't lower the armor rating until it comes on board. If it's on board with you guys, it has no armor.
Okay.
But it still has armor, but has very low points remaining.
Okay, because if it even has 1 point of armor, like lowering the damage, then trying to like jab its eye out with a knife or something isn't going to work because it's only 1 point of damage. So there goes that awesome. There goes that awesome last gasp maneuver.
I got one idea.
Let me check in with Nick first.
So what you hear in response is Amityville Island, calling for the Orca. Orca needs help.
Yes. SOS. SOS.
Shoot up a flare so we can find you. Give us your location.
Oh crap! Do we even have any flares?
Yeah, we only fired one, and they got 2 per.
Okay, perfect. All right, I yell out to Casey. Casey, throw up a flare.
Okay. I like wave Quint away from trying to pour more Miller Lite on open wounds, and aim skyward with the flare, and
I put up on the radio. We just threw up a flare. Can you see it?
Yes, we see you, but we also see something circling you. It's not safe to bring our men out there.
Get a copter, for Christ's sake!
it's not safe for us out here.
We're sending somebody out now. Hang on. So you hear them hang up on you, and now it's just you and the shark and the showering red of the flare that you just shot. And the shark does not like these bright lights. The shark is trying to throw itself into the side of the boat. It is pissed and possibly suicidal.
Oh my gosh, kamikaze shark. Okay, I rush back up. I go up to Casey and I said, don't worry, I got us help. I'm sure with my connections with my good friend the mayor, he'll spare no expense in saving us. And then,
Super.
And then I said, I got one other idea. The shark is nearly dead. I bet you need a little bit more push. I grab the defibrillator. I reach for it. I look at Quinn. Is there any more chum blood in that bucket?
You used the last of it, including my left.
I take his shirt and just wring the red into the chum bucket.
Yes. Get some of that on the defibrillator. We're not gonna need it.
That's a terrible idea. That is a terrible idea.
Hey, sometimes terrible ideas always turn out to be the best ones.
Oh my god.
Okay, we're gonna need to create an opening. Someone get the shark's attention. When its mouth is open, I'm gonna throw the charged defibrillator into its mouth.
I limp to the edge of the boat and start shouting, fish, 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 fishy!
I get the defibrillator charged up.
Do you throw anything into the water to bring the shark closer to you?
Blood-soaked shirt.
Okay, so as you throw the blood-soaked shirt in, the shark leaps up and snaps it. It likes that taste of your blood. And you see it chewing on that shirt, and Quint was like, that was my favorite shirt! Agent Nick, why don't you roll possibly to do one of your help actions or kick some ass to see if like you can get your own timing right.
Okay. You said I could use a help action?
Sure, because you're helping, you're saving people.
All right, then I'm gonna go for the power hard again and get a 10 automatically.
All right.
And I just yell. I see the shark's mouth open wide. I have the defibrillator charged. I just look at it straight and I go, "Clear, mother!" And I throw it right into its mouth.
And because, electricity is so strange. You throw it into... Do those need to be plugged in? Just as a logistical question. They don't need to be plugged in, right? They're mobile.
No, they have their own power source.
Yeah.
So yeah, as you throw it in, and with that pain, somehow you manage to get it right inside its mouth, and as it's moving, you happen to hit the roof of its mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the whole shark's body shake, go, and you hear some sort of sizzle out happen, and then silence as the shark stops moving and starts to sink into the ocean.
Oh, thank goodness.
Casey, you're still unstable, so you have lost another health, but the shark appears to be out of sight and out of mind. Above you, a helicopter whirs. They're like, you hear your radio call. Helicopter rescue is here for you!
I grabbed the radio. Okay, lower down at one of those ambulance bed things. We have a man here who's gravely injured. He's unstable. Is my friend the mayor there?
We just found out the mayor committed a lot of tax fraud. I don't think he's gonna be available for a while.
Oh, that guy. He's always doing that.
Is Captain Quint down there with you? We need permission to go aboard.
Unfortunately, yes, Captain Quint is still with us.
Quint looks at you, looks up, and he's like, look at those sky birds. I used to drive one of them back in my day. And he pops open another beer and pours it onto Casey's roof.
No.
Stop it!
Back on the radio. This is his second mate. This is second mate Nick. And as acting captain, because our captain is incapacitated, I give you permission. I give you permission.
And the rope lowers, and a couple of experts bring down a bed to bring Casey back up.
A stretcher?
A stretcher, yes. A stretcher, and Agent Nick and Quint climb up the rope into the copter. Casey, you are laying on the bed as you are being treated to, as you fly in the helicopter above what remains a red puddle in the sea. And you have defeated Jaws. Dun dun dun.
We have survived this crit.
You have survived.
We have survived this crit.
By just barely. At least for...
I want to push Captain Quinn out of the helicopter into the water.
You want to push a decorated veteran out of the air into the water?
That's not a decorated veteran anymore.
I will say as keeper, I will not allow that. But
Dang it.
You fly off into the sunset. Agent Casey gets the care that they need. Agent Nick, you eventually bond with Quint over time at a dive bar while waiting for Casey to get out of the hospital. And Quint teaches you some cool trick shots in pool to
sweet.
bring you closer together. But
And I find out that all his problems stem from his terrible relationship with his mother.
who knows?
Plus the rampant alcoholism.
And the rampant alcoholism from his father.
But yes, you have indeed survived this crit. No thanks to our dear friend Quint there. But thank you two for playing. I'm so glad you guys survived. It was looking a little rough for Casey there, so congratulations.
Thank you.
And
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I was almost unstable there.
I like to keep you guys at the edge of your seats. Saw Casey rolling their eyes at Nick saying he was almost unstable.
I took two whole
Poor
arms.
thing.
Casey's still puking up blood in the meantime.
So, this is the part where we just want to take a really quick moment to just pick the brain of our keeper here. Kylie, what inspired you to want to use Monster of the Week for this particular campaign?
Well, ironically, recently I had quite a fight with an orca on one of Casey's campaigns. So
That's true.
my initial instinct was to go the more D&D route, but I've noticed recently with D&D our characters are getting pretty powerful. So I was trying to think of the best way to scale an adventure while keeping it interesting, and I feel like if we had a lot of magic involved, given that you guys are in a confined space to begin with, and you only have one monster to deal with, it wouldn't have been as fulfilling in the long term. And I think the risk wouldn't have been as high unless you guys were actually playing as like normal people, you know?
Okay. And I think part of what I like about it too, since this is a great throwback to like where we started here with Monster of the Week.
Yeah.
So it's been a while since you played it. It's great. It's great coming back to it. Casey, how would you feel about it?
That was quite the time. I feel like we hit the major highlights, including seeing the head tumble out of the sunken ship. Love that terrifying moment. Yeah, I was not like I was kind of surprised by my own inspiration of like, let's try and ram a harpoon gun in there, see if we can like just for some added flavor. Ha ha.
No pun intended.
Kylie, as ever, just a delight to hear you spin this tale with us and Nick. It was magical. It was magical.
I love watching you two play together because for audiences who don't know, you two survived Xenomorph together as well. So
yeah, I remember that campaign very well. I remember
it was very.
I remember Casey just throwing me out in the airlock.
And this time you put Casey in the shark cage.
It was for the greater good. It was for the good of the ship.
Don't worry, so was the Shark Tank. It was for the greater good.
Right.
But yeah, I think also choosing to have you two in particular play this one was because I think you two both bring a lot of character and strategy. And Monster of the Week is great because you have to have really strong storytellers to play Monster of the Week as your characters. Because most of what a keeper does in Monster of the Week is respond to what you guys are doing. So the script for Monster of the Week, as I told Nick above table before we got started, I was like, it's so weird not writing out specific moves or markers for you guys to hit. I'm really just following you guys and then making sure we hit a few key markers along the way. But most of what I'm doing is following what you guys say. And that makes it really fun for me as a keeper.
Yeah. And yeah, you have a good point there. Because I know like designing Monster of the Week campaigns, like really your biggest concern is building like I forget what the name of it is, but it's like the countdown timer of like, okay, if you don't do anything,
the ticking clock.
Yeah, the ticking clock, exactly. The longer the problem doesn't get solved, the more imminent the threats become and whatnot. Awesome, cool. Well, I certainly had a lot of fun playing too. I'm glad I got so many opportunities to just do some crazy maneuvers and stunts there. It was a lot of fun.
Accurate.
Cool. Well then, Casey, I know you have your own show, and I was just hoping maybe you'd like to share with our audience here.
Absolument. I am the GM and the Dungeon Maestro of Narrative Feats, the anthology series, where we are currently telling stories set in the Sladium games. We have different podcasting teams on, like your fine selves, that are pitted in different arenas of this modular menace. And when we're not running those, we are hosting The Joy of GMing on the exact same channels that can be found on Spotify and Apple and YouTube. And just do a search for Narrative Feats, and you will find us straight away. This was a real treat. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, no, it was my pleasure. I'm so glad that we got to play together again. Yeah, well, I will link your show and even the episodes that we've been on below, so that way audiences can check it out, because Agent Kylie and Agent Nick rarely get to play together because one of us is always writing it. So if you want to see how Nick and I managed to not kill each other, or maybe kill each other, definitely check out Casey's episode, because that's one of the few that we've actually gotten to play together on.
All right, everyone, that is our campaign for this episode. I want to thank everyone for listening, and a quick reminder to leave us a like, or even share this podcast with your friends, or anyone that you think will enjoy listening. Word of mouth, as always, I try to mention now all the time, is of huge help to us. So just please, thank you for any assistance there. I hope everyone here has a good rest of their day. Bye, everybody.